This presentation will cover the LinkedIn portion of the Greenlight Career Advancement Program. LinkedIn is one of the core parts of the Greenlight program. It all helps with telling your story, and it segues nicely into the networking part of this Greenlight program as well. So there's a number of to-dos for getting your LinkedIn presence, your profile, your communication skills, all of the LinkedIn items up to the basic standard. So that includes getting your LinkedIn profile either updated or created if you've never had a LinkedIn profile before. We have a checklist that's linked in the slide deck that can help with starting or updating your LinkedIn profile. We also have many videos linked in here that do deeper dives on creating a LinkedIn profile, but this video here should be sufficient. There's another video here, the second one, that is a video about how do recruiters use LinkedIn. And so that gives good context for how you should think about optimizing your profiles to be found by recruiters. And then there's a few pages and groups that we'd recommend that you join. So one is to join the Carlson alumni group, which has over 18,000 alums. At least the last time I checked, it may be ticking closer to 20,000 by now. And bookmarking the Maine University of Minnesota Carlson School of Management, that's how it's spelled, bookmarking that LinkedIn page and being able to go back there because that's the way that you can easily sort through the approximately 50,000 Carlson alumni profiles on LinkedIn. I've also done a deeper dive video on how to do searching, which I will cover within this portion. But if you want to do a longer video and more information about how to do searches on LinkedIn, this is a great video for that. So for this recording of the Greenlight for the summer of 2024, I'm going to break this into three parts. The first part will be about how do recruiters use LinkedIn and how to optimize your profile. The second part will be about searching for contacts. And the third part will be about communications and engaging on LinkedIn. So let's get started. One of the things that we can do while we're going through this is that you can have a split screen. You can listen to my voice. You don't even necessarily need to look at the slides, but have your LinkedIn profile open so that you can edit and also practice the searches. Before I get into building the profile, I want to reiterate the importance of thinking about SEO or search engine optimization when thinking about your profile and the LinkedIn search tools. So keep in mind that everything on your profile is searchable. Also, think like a recruiter or a hiring manager and how they would read your profile. Not what you want to communicate, but how someone else would think of you after reading those pieces of information within your profile. So finally, is your content searchable friendly? Is it the right words within your industry? Maybe it's not the words you use at your company, but is the search terms or the skills terms that a recruiter would use, a hiring manager, someone outside your company? So always be thinking about how might your profile increase in its searchability by what you're entering into your profile. Again, there's a pre-work video that has information on how recruiters use LinkedIn. This is a screenshot of it. I'm not sure if this is exactly what it looks like on the recruiter end at this point. Maybe the template's changed. But the main point of the video is that be thinking about how do recruiters use different parts of the profile to source candidates like you. And so there's a couple of videos that I've linked on this page as well here at the bottom. So what LinkedIn recruiters see and how that might help you build a better profile and be a better candidate. And Boolean searches for recruiters. How do they enter their searches? But just keep in mind that um, while you may optimize your profile perfectly, uh, some jobs are much more likely to be headhunted than others. So they're more likely going to be using LinkedIn to find accountants or tech product managers than they would for maybe a recruiter or someone in HR or some of our other more generalist roles, because there's certain skill sets that are easier to be headhunted on LinkedIn than others. Kind of supply and demand. Okay, so diving into part one, building the LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn has endless things that you can create, but the main things I want you to be thinking about in your profile is these 7 things. So number one is even on this slide, I don't even need to advance to the next slide, is headshots. We typically do headshots twice a year in the fall and in the spring, and we will advertise when we do one in the fall. But know that you can get a professional headshot through our office at events. If you don't have an opportunity to wait that long and want to just update your profile now, be thinking about how you might take that with someone taking it on your smartphone, or there's lots of AI tools now for creating professional headshots. Second item that is critical for a LinkedIn profile, it's the headline. So the headline is this portion right here, circled in red. You can see how I've updated mine. So 3 to 4 terms separated by these vertical bar symbols. The thing that I want you to be thinking about is this is one of the things that follows you all around your LinkedIn profile and LinkedIn engagement. So when you send messages or post, or people view your profile in search results, that's the first thing they see is your cover photo, your name, and your headline. So this is something that's important for personal branding reasons. Now, LinkedIn does allow you to have this to be up to 220 characters. However, in the example that I've put down below, you can see the former CEO of LinkedIn's profile, and I think his is a bad example because it's too long. You see how the ellipses, the dot, dot, dot shows up? When you have lots of characters or use up most of the 220, most of it's going to get cut off. So make sure you put the good stuff up front. So here are a couple of format examples, a couple of examples. There are more examples throughout this slide deck as well. The third part on your LinkedIn profile, and this isn't in priority ranking, it's actually just top to bottom in your profile. So photos are at the top, headlines are next. The about section is one of the top items that shows up. I will say that this is one of the hardest things to do. So if you want to skip this part and come back to it later, or don't update this at first, that's totally fine. Refine, refine, refine. It's okay to keep refining this. So there's lots of resources and examples and hidden slides within this deck. And so as you view the actual deck of this, right after this slide, you'll see some written out examples. But you've also done something very similar to this. You've written a tell me about yourself script, or you may have written a cover letter in the past. These are great tools that you can use to create your about section. Another tip is to, look at other people that you admire, see what they wrote in their profile section, or search people with similar profiles to you and see what they wrote and use those as a template. Finally, I'd also encourage you to use AI like ChatGPT or any of the other AI tools out there. Say, hey, write me an about section for my LinkedIn profile and enter in your LinkedIn URL and see what it comes up with and see if that's a good baseline for you to edit off of. Okay, the fourth thing that you need to have in your LinkedIn profile is the experience section. And in the experience section, you will simply follow the profile builder to enter the company name, the job title, the dates. But the main thing that you want, or remember thinking about search engine optimization, is including your bullet points. But I think the easiest thing there is just copy and paste what you have in your resume. You've worked really hard on getting your resume in good shape. That is great information to put in your LinkedIn profile. Now, There's no length requirement in LinkedIn, so you can add more bullet points if you'd like, or you can add a summary of the role and the bullet points from your resume. But just keep in mind that the easiest thing to do is just copy and paste your resume bullet points over to your LinkedIn profile. The next part, number 5, is the education section. This can be very basic. The main thing that I want to point out here is make sure that you select into the right school. This can be somewhat confusing in that you're typing in University of Minnesota and you're like, yeah, I go to the University of Minnesota, but there is a specific school page for the Carlson School of Management. And you can see in this example here that the icon for it looks slightly different. It's got this gold top with the maroon M as opposed to the simple basic maroon background with gold M. And for the Carlson one, the one that you want to select is, it says Carlson School of Management. It's typed out this full word, University of Minnesota hyphen Carlson School of Management. So double check that you have that. The other part that I want you to include is I want you to add, even though you haven't finished this degree yet, is I want you to add your estimated graduation month and year. Even if that changes over time, if you right now are estimating that you're going to graduate in December of the following year, add that in now and you can update as needed. It's also optional to add in any other MBA activities that you're a part of, things like Millie or CCE or case competitions. Those can be other things that show up in this area down here. The sixth thing that I want you to list in here is I want you to add skills that are relevant for your industry. Now, keep in mind that this is mainly hard skills. Soft skills are fine to include, but hard skills are the things that are search engine friendly. That's what recruiters are going to be looking for, hiring managers are going to be looking for. So you can add as many soft skills as you'd like, but really focus first on what are the hard skills that are important for your role. Maybe that's modeling or programming or analysis or other marketing skills, but be thinking about what are the hard skills that you want to include. Here's a list of the 2023 most in-demand skills from LinkedIn. You can see the hard skills here on the right-hand column as some examples. LinkedIn over the past year has changed this so that 50 skills are now you can add 100 skills, but you don't have to get 100 skills in there. And remember, this is what recruiters are looking for, not necessarily what you want to list of skills that you have. Okay, and so this last part is something I think is really important for people to do at some point in having their LinkedIn profile. It's a simple thing to do. It's updating the URL. So you have a customized URL, shortens your URL. So a URL here then could be added into any document, any other place that you share your LinkedIn profile. So it could be in your email signature or printed on your resume. So you can see how I've simplified mine. So it usually starts as linkedin.com/in/ and then it might be your first name, last name, and a bunch of numbers and letters, depending on how common your last name is. You can see that I've updated mine to be Will O'Brien 1. And so you can change this to be a simplified version of that. How you do that is you go to your profile and you click on the settings. You see this little edit icon here. There's a full tutorial linked in here if you get stuck on this, but I'd recommend that you do that just so that you claim your own simplified URL for your name. Okay, like I've referenced a couple times now, we do have a lot of extra content within this slide deck. So we didn't want to have all of the slides you had to go through during this video, but you can see other versions and examples of profile picture information, headline information examples, about experience, education examples. So just look in there to get a little bit more details if you need anything. But really, the main thing is build your profile, share it with coach, get some feedback, and keep moving on. Okay, so part 2 of the LinkedIn series for the Greenlight Career Advancement Program is on searching for contacts. This is really, really critical and really helpful for anybody when doing any sort of job search, but especially for the level of roles you'll be searching for. There are three main types of searches, and I'll go through each one. The three main searches are how to search for alums, how to search for contacts at a specific company, and then how to search generally using the advanced search filters. So the first search is how to search for alumni. And so when searching for alumni, you can go to the Carlson page, click on this alumni tab, and once you have that, you have a search bar. You also have 6 default filters. So where do they live? Where do they work? What do they study? What do they do? You know, their function and different main filters and then keyword filters as well as what year. What I would recommend that you do is get yourself very familiar with how to use this tool. Another type of searching that you can do is you can search for alums through groups. And this really helps with being able to communicate directly with group members. And so there are a lot of different Carlson groups that you can join. The main group I like to refer to as 1889 because that's the number in the URL for this group. But the main group is linked here. The main group is an opt-in group, so it doesn't have as many as the 50,000 LinkedIn profiles, but it has great messaging features. So when you go in and click on all the members, the list of members, you can message them. There are also about 40 to 50 groups with Carlson in them, and some of them are specialized for different areas. So like an analytics group, Carlson Women's Network, a Carlson group for HRIR students and alums, Mac, MBT. So I've linked a few of these as well, so you can find those groups easily. Okay, searching for company contacts can be very similar to the alumni search that you saw. This search here looks like this. Instead of saying alums, it says people. So let's say that you wanted to go to a company page like McKinsey, and you go over to the people tab, you would get the same 6 default filters as well as a search bar that you could search through. However, there's another way that you can search to get to the advanced filters for a specific company. This is kind of a cool hidden thing because you don't see the URL or the blue underline here, but if you click on this number here of how many employees there are, it will take you to the advanced search filters. It looks different than this search, but there are a lot more filters that you can select in this way. So this is another option. It takes a little bit more work on your end to pick which filters and which keywords you want to use, but it has richness and targeting of results. And then finally, just general searches. So you could do a lot of different types of searches on LinkedIn, but one of the ways that you can search on LinkedIn is just going up to the general keyword search and type in a job title that you're interested in. So in this example, I put in operations manager. You can see that at the time I did this search, there were about 18.6 million operation manager titles across all of LinkedIn. And so then you'd want to click through all of these different filters to filter down to a manageable list of ops managers that you'd want to look through. Most likely using this all filters to get pretty granular on your search terms. But location might be a nice one to target just ops managers in the Minnesota area if that's where you want to be, or if you have a certain company that you want to look at. But again, there's a lot of advanced filters that you can look through here. So some of the ones I like to use location. Often I'm searching at a certain company, and so I like to do that. Or I might unselect a current company and select past companies so I can talk to people who used to work there. At the very bottom of the all filters, there's a box for 4 or 5 different keyword filters. And the one I like to search by is job title. Maybe I want to look for the job title of recruiter so that I can find who might be the hiring contact for that. Or I might be wanting to look for someone who has the role that I aspire for. So if I want to find someone who has the title of marketing manager, financial analyst, tax attorney, something like that, then I can type that into the title and then find the people that at that company that have that job title. So part three of this presentation is about communications. So I'm going to now highlight things like how to send connection messages, the messaging function within LinkedIn, and what to do about following up. So the very first thing is as you build out your profile or add to your contacts is you always want to be looking for this blue button to connect. We do recommend that you add a personalized note. However, that's one of the most significant changes that LinkedIn's made in the last about 9 months. So this box usually will pop up. And again, I'm talking about this from the desktop version, not the mobile app version. A lot of what I recommend is from the desktop version because it's a lot more of a robust user interface and a lot more filters. On the mobile device, it's a little harder to find where you might personalize the invitation to connect, but it is possible from your phone to do this. But for this example, this is a pop-up window that would show up when you are sending your invitation to connect. So it'll say you can add a note to personalize your invitation. So do you want to add that note? And you click on that previously, and I'm still hoping that maybe LinkedIn will remove this feature and go back to it at some point. But right now, they're really trying to encourage people to purchase their premium subscription, which in general, I do not recommend that you do because there's plenty of workarounds. In part because it's pretty expensive. I think it's 40 to $50 per month for a subscription for premium. So our typical recommendation would always add a note. Now, at this point, LinkedIn limits you to 5 to 10 per month on this. So you may want to be selective on the people that you add a note to, but notes can be a really nice way to say why you are reaching out to connect. If you don't see the connection blue button, it says message or it says follow. The workaround there is click on the ellipses or the dot, 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 and then you should, in the drop down there, a little bit more hidden, find an option to connect. So following just means that you're not connected to them, you don't have messaging right. This right here means you maybe are not a first or second or a second or third degree connection. And so once you click on the more or the dot, 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 then you have that option to connect. So a common question, which I addressed on the last slide, is what do we think about premium? Now, premium, the biggest advantage to premium, in my opinion, is unlimited messaging, which even now is starting to be throttled back a bit. But the workaround that I would recommend is something that's recommended in the book, The 2-Hour Job Search, which is actually looking for other ways to connect and using personalized invitations to connect as a later tier result or resort, I should say. So a last tier resort for messaging, you could start with, do I have someone that in our business development department at the Carlson Business Career Center that knows someone there that they'd recommend? Can I find their email address somewhere else so I can just cold email them? And then as you get lower and lower, can you send an invitation to connect as a later tier result? I would also look for groups that you could join to be able to message them for free before you connect as well. Okay, so you write a connection note. Now there are only 200 characters. Previously, it was a 300 character limit. So you want to be pretty direct and to the point. How you found them. I found your profile on the Carlson alumni page. A coach gave me your contact information. What do you want specifically? Are they the right person to help you? I would like to speak to you about your role as a consultant. I would like to learn more about your experience in sustainability. I'd love to hear your experience as an HR VP. What are those different types of conversations and topics? How you would like to meet. I would like to have an informational interview with you over Zoom. You could suggest times to meet, although in the 2 Hour Job Search book, that's less recommended than I had previously done. So feel free to leave that out, especially since it saves you a few characters. And then finally, if you have room and still have characters, just saying thanks so much and your first name there. At one point, LinkedIn had limited this to 10 invitations to connect. Right now, I've never had the premium version, only have 5 invitations to connect per month, and so maybe that's the new normal. So I'd recommend that you practice connecting with us. So Coach Bridget, myself, Coach Aaron, or any other coach that might be a part of your program. If you're in the SEMBA program, you might want to connect, or you would want to connect with Coach Maggie as well. But you can practice sending a message if you'd like. So finally, the fourth part of this presentation is about how to engage. And this can be something that maybe you haven't done much, even if you have had a profile for a long time, or maybe it's something that you're just not very comfortable with engagement on social media, or maybe you feel totally fine with it on other platforms like Instagram, Facebook, but you're not quite sure what the norms are in LinkedIn because it's just not a place you spend a lot of time. We recommend a really simple framework for this. It's a 3-2-1 framework. So 3 likes, 2 comments, 1 post per week. So 3 reactions or likes per week is pretty easy. If you're logging into LinkedIn daily and seeing what's new, what your connections are posting about, that's pretty easy to have 3 reactions. Um, right now, a lot of people have graduated, so there's a lot of like graduation photos and people thanking professors, posting pictures of them and their partners or families and the celebration. That's a great thing to go around and comment and like on all of your classmates' photos. So 2 comments per week should be easy enough. Again, you might be able to do 2 comments a day pretty easily. Um, the post is probably the hardest one to think. What am I going to post about once per week? It can be a lot of different things, but it could be, what are you up to? What are you working on? What is an article that you're resharing that was interesting to you and adding a couple of comments there? But this level of engagement will start to not only get show that you're more active on LinkedIn, but also boost your profile in search results. So once you have got your LinkedIn profile up to the basic level and had a coach look at it, and you start to network a fair amount on here, is really, I like to say, it's taking it offline. You don't want to just have LinkedIn connections, just messaging them through the platform. While that's important, the most important thing is to have conversations and build relationships with people in your industry or at companies you're interested in or in roles that you want to learn more about. And so look for ways to then do informational interviews or Zoom calls, phone calls, coffee chats, happy hours, those types of things, whether it's in person or virtually or over the phone. That's a great next step. And I'll talk more about that in the networking section. So for now, that's it for the LinkedIn portion of the Greenlight training this time around. Thanks so much for watching.